You want to also protect my head because I'm banging my head on this hard pavement.
Okay.
Roll me on my side too and let me have my seizure.
Okay.
When I was coming up, one would often say, go get a spoon and put it in his mouth because he'll swallow his tongue. Guess what, Phyllis? It's impossible to swallow your tongue. Your tongue is attached.
I figured that.
Please stop doing that.
Hello, Grandma Phyllisandharley here again today. So glad to be here and see you. And today we're going to have something special. First of all, I'm going to have Mr. Kevin Coombs here, who is a teacher of many years in CPR and has his own company, American Health Services. And it's going to be training in first aid and emergency medicine so that you know what to do when something happens in the house. Care begins with yourself. He does the traditional medicine or elementary therapies. I do complementary therapies. So he's going to be our teacher today and then show us what to do with the traditional medicine, with CPR, first aid, emergency services, and I will show you with Jin Shin Jyutsu, which is a complementary therapy you can do to help. And this is how things work together, and it's supposed to be. The two together are the best therapies. And remember, everything already comes from the spirit. And all education and training that we have is to help others and be of service. So with that, how are you today, sir?
I am fantastic.
Okay, and your name again is Mr.?
My name is Kevin Coombs. I'm a health and safety instructor with the American Heart Association for over 20 years.
Wow.
Most of my training involves CPR, first aid, but we also do bloodborne pathogens training and some other trainings. So I'm happy to be here to talk about the importance of knowing what to do in an emergency.
Absolutely. Self-care and knowing what to do in the home is of the greatest importance. And so often we feel powerless and helpless when an emergency happens. Whether you're a grandparent with grandchildren, a mom, or you're taking care of the elderly, or you have a friend who's visiting. A medical emergency can happen anytime, anywhere. And most of us, unfortunately, don't have that training. And that's what's here today. The initial event happens, you take it and explain what you think would be appropriate to start as you teach your classes. And I've taken the class. He's really good, folks.
Thank you.
And today he's going to start with the first three events that we should go on. We're going to talk about stroke, heart attack, and seizures. And in that order, please take over, Kevin.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with strokes. It's important to know the symptoms of someone having a stroke. You know, if you see a friend, a family member, maybe holding their left arm, complaining of maybe a numbness, face starts to droop on one side, particularly the left side, there's a possibility that they're having a stroke. We call it a brain attack. It's important to diagnose that as soon as possible. Why? Because you're losing very valuable brain cells.
Right.
So recognize that as soon as possible. Prior to calling EMS, ask that victim or that person three things, because we want to make sure that we know that they're having a stroke. So I would ask that person to smile. Ask the victim to smile. They're going to have a hard time smiling because stroke affects the face.
Right.
Also, ask them to raise both arms together.
Okay.
Okay? If I'm having a stroke, I can't do this. One arm's going to go up and one arm's going to go down.
Okay.
That's a sign of a stroke.
Okay.
The third is ask them to speak a simple sentence. Hey, say the dog jumped over the fence.
Okay.
I can't say that because stroke affects the speech.
Right.
So we want to quickly call EMS, let them know what's going on, let them know what you said, and of course they're going to be on their way.
Okay. So if I were to call it, what you were saying is, if this should happen, I should first try to find out what the symptoms are.
Yes.
See if they are having pain or can
numbness
in line. Okay. Look at their face.
Yes.
Ask them to smile.
That's right.
If they can't smile.
That's right.
And third, try to lift both arms at the same time.
Absolutely.
And having done that, then I call 911.
Yes.
And when they say, what's the problem? I think they're having a stroke, and these are the things that I've seen.
Yes.
So please come and help.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you wait for the EMS to respond.
Yes.
Thank you.
And they're going to say they're on their way.
Yes.
You stay with him or her. You
yes.
comfort them.
Okay.
And you continue to reassure them.
And make them feel better.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Excellent. The next thing we have is what? A heart?
Heart attack.
Okay.
Let's talk about heart attacks. Most people know the pressure on your chest. I've never had a heart attack, but I've talked to people who've had heart attacks before, and they say it feels like an elephant standing on your chest. It's not like if you eat a hot tamale and you go, "Ooh, that was kind of hot." No, it's a pressure
like
that doesn't. Yeah, it's not a heartburn. It's not a ooh. No, it's a pressure that does not stop. It continues to get worse and worse. Strong sign of a heart attack.
Is that for a man or a woman?
Now, women are different.
Okay.
Thank you for asking me that. Women's signs are centered in their upper abdominal area. Not saying that you may not get the pressure.
Okay.
But if you wake up at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning and you feel a pain radiating from here to here.
Across the chest.
Upper abdominal area.
Okay, upper abdominal area.
Not lower abdominal.
Okay, upper.
Absolutely. And then that pain starts going up your arm to
Left
your
arm?
jaw. Left arm.
Could be right arm?
Typically, it could be right arm.
Okay, so it could be either arm, mainly left.
Absolutely. But the key is it's going to go to your jaw.
Oh,
When you start feeling pain from side to side in the jaw area, it's a possibility that you're having a heart attack.
And that's a woman's sign.
Women's signs are different from men.
Yeah, that's the woman's
Heart
sign.
disease is the #1 killer of women in this country.
Wow.
Because it sneaks up on you. As I tell my students, listen, you take care of me, you take care of the world. A small stomach ache isn't going to stop you. So you just go about your day and boom.
Yes.
So always recognize that. Now,
Right.
call EMS. If you're home alone, of course, call 911. Let them know what the situation is and do what's best for yourself.
Right.
Okay? If someone is there, then you have them call 911.
Right.
But extremely important to recognize the signs.
Now, the third one is a seizure.
Seizures. Let's talk about a grandma seizure. Not a petite, but a grandma seizure.
Grandma.
Absolutely. You have that victim who's sitting in a chair or that loved one possibly who you suspect is having a seizure. Well, what we want to do is we want to take them from the chair or the bed or wherever and put them on the floor.
Okay.
Move everything away from them because if I grab a chair, I'm going to pull it towards me.
Right.
So you want to move everything out of my way.
Okay.
You want to also protect my head because
Okay.
I'm banging my head on this hard pavement.
Okay.
Roll me on my side too and let me have my seizure.
Okay.
When I was coming up, one would often say, go get a spoon and put it in his mouth because he'll swallow his tongue. Guess what, fellas? It's impossible to swallow your tongue. Your tongue is attached.
I figured that.
Please stop doing that. Let me have my seizure. It's okay. Call 911. If I hit my head, if the first time, call EMS, but let me finish having my seizure.
Okay.
Okay?
Because there's not much you can do, apparently.
There isn't much you can do for that.
Just safety.
Let me seize out. It's safety. It's
Okay.
safety mainly for seizures.
Okay. That's excellent. And so then you call 911 after that.
Yes, absolutely. You call
And first you
once
see
they
to
go
the safety.
down, you immediately call. So
Okay.
they should be, but don't be surprised if they talk to you over the phone because they're going to ask you, is she or he in danger? Did
Right.
they hit their head? No, everything is fine because they know that most seizures end in 5 minutes. So they may
Yes.
walk you through it. So I always say if it's the first time, call EMS. If they hit their head, call EMS. But don't be surprised if they talk to you over the phone.
Okay, but they send somebody.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you tell them.
Okay.
On his way down, he hit his head, that kind of thing. But
Okay.
if the person has seizures often,
Okay.
and you know they have seizures, then they may walk you through it over the phone.
Okay. He gave you the traditional. Let me give you Jin Shin Jyutsu. Okay.
Yes. We're working together
We're working together.
for the great of
Now,
of the person.
I'm not going to move much from my chair because I don't need to. I'm going to ask you to angle yourself
Sure.
a little bit more towards me. Okay. So now I've shown you a little bit before on Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Mhm.
If someone will start with a stroke, I'd almost have to stand, but don't want to bother our camera woman on this one. So I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do for a stroke. Okay. First of all, I take a hand here. I take my left hand on your right shoulder. I take my right hand on your left wrist. Is that your right wrist?
Right wrist.
Right wrist.
Mhm.
I have my left hand up here on the shoulder and my right hand here. Okay? But what I'm going to do is move it down to here, right between the thigh and the groin. Can I show that? Can you show that? A little bit to the thigh and the groin. I'm going to put it right here between where the thigh bone and the pelvic bone is. And I'm just going to hang my hand over the shoulder here like it's a hanger, hanging on your shoulder, and fingers here. And just hold. And I'm going to wait until I get a pulse. Okay? Because when you're having a stroke, you can't have a pulse. But I'm going to do all of the things he said first. Ask them to do the questions. Ask them to lift their arms. Ask them to smile. Now I'm going to do this afterwards. After I called 911, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold here and here till I begin to feel a pulse. When I do, what I'm going to do is transfer my hand, slip it under, and go between the thigh and the buttock in the center. So imagine I'm doing that. I'm putting the hand here. I have him on a side or lying down, but he's not sitting up, hopefully. Or I'm standing for this, okay? And I will hold it till I feel a pulse. Then I will switch. I will take his left hand like this, and I will do this over here and hold until I felt a pulse in both hands, coordinated. And then I will slip my hand over to the back again between the thigh and the buttock and hold until I get a pulse. Okay? Let me sit up now. That's what I will do. Because when you have a stroke or a medical event, your system goes completely out of whack. This brings your system back into these are called the hemispheres. They bring them back into center. And then I will touch him on the head with my left hand like this. And I will go here, to the forehead, to the nose, to the chin. And I will go here to the notch in the throat. I will go here to where the heart is, between the breasts. I will go to the belly button, the solar plexus, and I will go further down to where the pubic bone is. And in each instance, I will hold it till I feel pulsed at the same time. They will be in sync. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, for heart attack, the first thing I will do again is grab this side, and just hold. Doesn't matter. If I was on the other side, I'd grab with the right hand on his left side. And I just hold like this, like around the wrist, like you're taking a pulse. Okay? And that will help stop the heart attack. The other thing is, what he can do himself, you just hold the little fingers like this. Very gently. There's no pulling, no farting. But just gently hold the fingers just like this. In a fist. Gently. And that will help the heart go back into regular rhythm. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask that when you have a seizure, somebody has a seizure. May I have your foot?
Sure.
Okay, if you can see it in the mirror. Okay,
Sure.
feel free.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Go sleep now.
Yeah, okay, all right. See, you put your hand here. Through the shoe, it doesn't matter. But I will do it on both feet. Okay? And I put my thumbs up here like this, over the big toe, or where it should be. Just like this, another fist, very lightly, no pressure. And just hold. And that will stop the seizure. Okay? And you just hold, and when the seizure stops, there you go. Okay, you put your face down. Now, if somebody is prone to having seizures and they know it, they can stop their own seizure by immediately going down and grabbing the big toe, just like I didn't show that, and hold it on their own. By the way, with Harley here, if Harley were to have a seizure, I would hold Harley's back toes, and the dog would stop having her seizure. So this can be used on animals as well.
Wow.
But we're not going to go into that. She just happened to walk into view. So her back toes, like this, her whole back paw, which she'll sit on me now. And there you go. And it'll stop her seizures.
Wow.
So this is a complementary therapy. But this is conjunction with traditional therapy.
Absolutely.
And what we do is what you do first, and then I come in and do afterwards.
Absolutely.
And if you do it for yourself,
Yes.
if you find yourself having a heart attack, okay, well, let's see. Let me see how, okay. You put your left hand up here on your shoulder and just hold with your right hand, like that. Just relax. You don't have to strangle yourself. Just relax, okay? Or you could just hold your own little finger like this, okay? You can almost twist it and get both fingers at the same time, but it's a little tricky. So just one finger at a time, but that's what you can do. And it helps from scarring from the heart. If you are having a stroke, again, here to the shoulder, here, doesn't matter which hand you use first, the right over and the right hand over the left shoulder, the left hand in the groin, and then underneath you between the thigh and the buttock. And again, you switch. Right hand over, groin first, until you feel the pulse, and then this. If you can move it.
If you can move it, right.
But you should be able to start moving immediately. I have used this working with people who've had strokes with one side, working with them an hour on doing these techniques that I just showed you, have them upstanding, and believe it or not, walking within an hour.
Wow.
Okay? So I believe the two work together hand in hand.
Cough, deep breath, cough, deep breath, cough, deep breath. What this does, it will buy you time. When you cough, you squeeze your heart. When you take deep breaths, you fill your lungs with air, oxygen. These are the two things that are slowing down. Cough, deep breath. It will not stop the heart attack, but it will buy you time.
And that's important.
And that's important because you're home alone waiting for EMS to arrive.